Revealed, the touching journey of the incredible muscular princess who changed love forever in the heart of Maplewood, the quaint Midwest town where summer barbecues crackle and state fairs shimmer with nostalgia, lived Sarah, known to many as the Muscular Princess. At 34, she had the strength of 10 men yet wore it with grace. Her muscles bulged beneath her vibrant tank tops, the kind that made whispers flutter like errant autumn leaves as she strolled down Main Street. Behind her back, some called her an oddity. Others whispered about what it must be like to have a mother so strong. Yet, for 10-year-old Mia, who faced the harsh realities of bullying at school for having such a unique mom, Sarah was her hero. Every morning, as dawn broke, Sarah laced up her shoes and hit the gym. She was preparing for the national championship, the culmination of years of grueling training. But just as her world seemed to be aligning, disaster struck. The town's beloved Veterans Memorial was vandalized overnight, an act that sent shockwaves through Maplewood. Community pride shattered like glass, revealing deep-seated fissures that the townsfolk tried to ignore. Instead of caving into despair, Sarah felt a spark ignite within her. This could be her chance to heal her town. The muscles that some viewed as unfeminine turned into the very embodiment of strength and resilience. She rallied a motley crew. Mr. Thompson, the wise, elderly veteran with tales etched in his weathered hands. Jake, the local carpenter with a heart of gold and a rough exterior. And her brave daughter, Mia, who stood alongside her like a small warrior. "Let us bring our town back together," she declared, her voice steady despite the uncertain whispers that followed their efforts. Yet each swing of their hammers was met with doubt, with skeptics wondering how a princess could mend a memorial. What does she know about strength? They murmured. They worked tirelessly, restoring the memorial piece by piece. Still, the whispers chipped away at Sarah's confidence. How will I compete at the championship? She wondered, her heart wrestling with the burden of community expectations. The pressure mounted as her fierce rival, the epitome of classic femininity, prepared to take the stage. Maybe I'm not meant to win, she thought, her muscles quivering with anxiety more than physical weight. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each chip of stone, Sarah made a sacrifice. It was not merely the memorial that was being rebuilt. It was the very foundation of acceptance, of understanding, that the community had long overlooked. As the championship drew closer, she felt the weight of unresolved feelings pressing on her chest. Would she ever be able to lift more than just weights? Would her fierce love for Mia and her town be enough to change hearts and minds? The night of the championship loomed like storm clouds in her mind. As she prepared to take the stage, the crowd's breath hitched, a shared moment caught between anticipation and doubt. Would they finally recognize her strength? Would she captivate them not just physically but emotionally, redefining what it meant to be a true competitor? As the spotlight fell on her and the barbell sat before her, Sarah took a deep breath, ready to lift the weight not just above her head, but off the shoulders of her community. As Sarah stood under the bright lights, her heart raced. The crowd murmured, a mix of excitement and skepticism swirling around her like a tangible fog. She could feel every eye on her, each one weighing her down, yet fueling her determination. This wasn't just a physical challenge. It was a test of her heart and spirit. She glanced over at Mia, whose small figure was perched on the edge of her seat, eyes wide with admiration and a hint of anxiety. In that moment, everything became clear. This was more than a competition. It was about showing Mia, and all those watching, that strength comes in many forms, not just in muscle, but in resilience, love, and the courage to stand up to doubt. Taking a deep breath, Sarah steadied herself. She approached the barbell, its cold metal a reminder of all the hours she had trained, all the moments of solitude when she had pushed through pain and exhaustion. She reached down and gripped the bar, feeling its weight like a challenge issued from the baton of a judge. With one powerful motion, she lifted. The bar felt heavy at first, but as she focused on the crowd, something shifted within her. Their smiles, some bright with encouragement, others shadowed with disbelief, began to merge into an empowering wave. Sarah drew strength from her surroundings. It was as if the essence of Maplewood surged through her veins. A community waiting for healing. A community that needed her to succeed. As the barbell rose, she recalled all the mornings spent at the gym, lifting not just weights, but also the weight of expectations that had come crashing down around her. The training, the rallies, the determination to rebuild the Veterans Memorial, they had all led her to this very moment. With an explosive surge, she completed the lift. The sound of clapping thundered like a summer storm. Cheers erupted, but there was an echo of doubt still lurking in the background. Can she actually spread love and strength? They might be thinking. But Sarah wasn't merely competing with her rival anymore. She was competing with herself, battling the shadows of uncertainty in her own mind. Yes, she was strong. Yes, she was a mother. Yes, she was a force to be reckoned with. Yet, could she be all of that while still being seen as human? She lowered the barbell back down with an impressive thud, her heart pounding, a mixture of adrenaline and relief flooding through her. In that moment, she felt vibrant, alive. The spotlight had illuminated not just her physique but also her purpose. She turned to the crowd, and with conviction, she shouted, "This isn't just about me. It's about all of us. Our strength lies in unity, in love." Mia jumped up, clapping along with the crowd, her smile radiating warmth and pride. The noise enveloped Sarah, drowning out the whispers that had haunted her. The energy surged inside her, a realization blossoming within that the true measure of her strength wasn't simply that of muscle, but of the bonds she had forged in her community. As the competition continued, the atmosphere shifted, the doubts melting away. Yet, an unexpected wave of fear gripped Sarah's heart. What if the connection she had built with Maplewood was only fleeting? In chasing her dreams, would she lose sight of the very town she sought to heal? As the final rounds approached, Sarah's muscles tightened with anticipation. She knew she had to address this fear head-on. But how could she balance her pursuit of greatness with her responsibility to her town and daughter? The weight of it felt heavier than any barbell she had lifted. With the championship almost at an end, Sarah's spirit soared and faltered in equal measure. What lies ahead would not only test her body but will challenge her heart in the most profound way. Would she find a way to be true to herself and her community? As the last competition began, Sarah whispered to herself, "I have to do this," but would she really be able to carry the full weight of community expectations while pursuing her own dreams? Sarah wiped her brow, her breath coming in rapid bursts, yet her heart beat steadily with a new rhythm. The roar of the crowd faded slightly as she prepared for the final lift. She could feel Mia's hopeful eyes on her, that unwavering trust sparking a fire within. But beneath that flame, doubt flickered. What if this moment was just a fleeting high, a momentary victory in a battle far greater? The final competitor stepped forward, muscles coiled and ready, a picture of fierce determination. Sarah watched, her throat tightening. The stakes had risen. She was no longer just lifting weights. She was weighed down with hopes and expectations. With every ounce of strength, she had believed this competition would uplift Maplewood, and now she felt the pressure to be its hero. "Focus," she muttered, shaking her head as if it could rid her of the doubts. She stepped back to the barbell, feeling its cold grip again. This was her moment, and she had already conquered so much. The victories in the gym, the countless mornings spent encouraging herself, the voices rallying around her, all swirling together in a tapestry of perseverance. As she gripped the medal again, she thought of the Veterans Memorial, the joy on people's faces when they'd gathered to discuss plans. That warmth ignited. She lifted her gaze to Mia once more, who smiled back like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. Remembering the little girl's innocent belief in her, Sarah took a breath and lifted. The bar swung upwards, heavy at first, but with every inch it rose. A surge coursed through Sarah, a surge of community pride, a ripple of hope that reached all the way back to Maplewood. With a final push, she locked out at the top, holding it steady. The crowd erupted, their cheers a whirlwind that almost lifted her from the ground. She had done it, but the moment felt incomplete. She held that weight above her head, not just as a physical burden but as a symbol of what she was fighting for. Could she truly carry the expectations of an entire town? It was terrifying, yet liberating. The barbell wasn't just her weight to bear. It was a connection, a shared purpose uniting her with every soul watching. As she lowered the bar, victorious but rattled, the reality clanged at her like the weights she'd just lifted. The buzz of celebration enveloped her, but a chill of hesitation crept in. What next? How could she follow through on this new path she had carved? Mia's squeal of joy broke her thought pattern, and Sarah turned to find the little girl beaming, her excitement infectious. In that moment, Sarah realized something: she didn't have to have all the answers now. Not today. What mattered was that she was here, standing proudly for Maplewood, showing what love could build through hard work and dedication. The final bell rang, signaling the end of the competition. Everyone was applauding, but Sarah couldn't shake the questioning echo in her mind. Was this victory enough? Did her journey end here, or was it just the beginning of something deeper? Would she disappoint those who believed in her, or would they continue to thrive together? As the crowd celebrated, Sarah stood amidst the sounds, uncertainty creeping back in. One truth lingered. She had ignited a spark, but the flame of hope needed nurturing to grow. The next chapter awaited, and she had only begun to write it. What roads would she tread next in this journey? How would she translate her moment in the spotlight into tangible change? And was she truly ready for the weight of those possibilities? Sarah stepped off the platform, her heart still racing with adrenaline. The cheers of the crowd felt like a distant echo now, as the reality of the moment began to settle in. She had done it, but a weight heavier than the barbell she had just lifted pressed against her chest. The triumph felt somehow empty without a concrete plan for what came next. Mia rushed towards her, skipping over the uneven ground, her pigtails bouncing with each step. "You were amazing, Sarah." The little girl's eyes sparkled with admiration and excitement. "Thanks, Mia." Sarah forced a smile, gathering her thoughts. All the praise seemed to blend into a hum in her ears, and she felt oddly detached. But now what? Mia tilted her head, puzzled by the hint of worry in Sarah's voice. "Now you help everybody. You're our hero." Hero. The word tasted strange on her lips. Sarah appreciated the affection, but the thought of embodying something so grand made her feel unsteady. Heroes were supposed to have all the answers, and she didn't even know where to start. As people swarmed around her, hugging and praising her win, Sarah felt their hope resting heavily on her shoulders. If the community believed in her, she had to give them something in return. She just didn't know what or how. Her mind raced back to the memorial where, after her first lift, the spontaneous idea of building something special had blossomed. Was that where she needed to focus her energy now? "Let us go celebrate," someone shouted from the crowd. The excitement surged, and Sarah found herself nodding along. But as they shuffled towards the town square, laughter and cheers ringing out, Sarah lingered in the back. "Are you coming?" Mia called, her voice a mix of hope and impatience. "Just a sec. Okay?" Sarah answered, turning away from the crowd, seeking a moment of quiet. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the fresh, cool evening air. It reminded her of long runs by the lake, of pushing through struggles and emerging stronger. But this was different. Then, she was alone, striving only for herself. This time, she was not just representing herself but an entire community. What did they need from her now? Inspiration, sure, but action too. She couldn't just take this victory and leave it to gather dust. As she stood alone, she caught a glimpse of the Veterans Memorial glowing in the fading light. It was a labor of love and courage. It symbolized resilience and community spirit. Suddenly, an idea sparked a seed of possibility taking root in her heart. If she started a community initiative to renovate the memorial, they could honor their veterans and rekindle the spirit already bubbling in Maplewood. but she couldn't do it alone. She needed help, resources, and collaboration. Sarah. Mia called again, this time with a sense of urgency. They're waiting for you. With purpose swelling in her, Sarah turned. She could feel the warmth of the crowd as they celebrated her, but she envisioned them rallying together for something bigger than herself. Wait up, Sarah shouted, racing towards the group. A fire ignited within her. Hey everyone, can we talk? I have an idea. The crowd quieted, curiosity painted across their faces. As she prepared to share her vision for the memorial, her heart raced not with doubt, but with inspiration. They would build something together. But just as she began to speak, an unexpected voice cut through the excitement. Did you forget about us? Sarah's heart sank, recognizing that voice. What roadblocks lay ahead, and how would they challenge the vision she'd just begun to forge? The next chapter loomed like a storm, and she felt the winds of change swirling around her. Would she be strong enough to weather it? Sarah's heart raced as she turned toward the voice, her chest tightening at the familiar, confrontational tone. It was Derek. He stood there, arms crossed, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth as if he had just caught her in a big, delicious lie. Derek, she said slowly, taking a deep breath. What do you mean? Everyone's fallen for this hero act. But don't you think it's a bit premature? You're just one win on a weightlifting platform. What's next? Are you going to lead a revolution? The crowd shifted awkwardly, watching the exchange unfold with narrowed eyes. Derek, that's not fair. Mia piped up, stepping closer to Sarah. She's trying to do something good. The weight of Derek's words pressed down on Sarah. She wanted to brush it off, but she couldn't ignore the prick of doubt he had planted. You don't understand, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. This isn't just about me. It's about the memorial and what it represents. We can honor our veterans and make a change. Derek chuckled, the sound sharp and harsh. You think a renovation is going to erase the pain? Those names will still be there, Sarah. What you're trying to do won't fix everything. He stepped closer, his gaze piercing. You'll fail and it'll be on you. Is that what you really want? The crowd shifted again, whispers rising among them. Sarah felt her skin grow hot as anger bubbled inside her. How could he say that? I can't just stand on that platform and walk away, she exclaimed, her voice breaking. I have to do something. Sure, but you're no savior, he replied coolly. You're just one person like the rest of us. A single lift doesn't make you special. So what are you going to do when no one follows? His challenge hung in the air, and Sarah felt uncertain, her mind racing to grasp what was happening. Maybe she wasn't a hero. Maybe she was just a girl with a wild idea. But there was something deeper inside her, a yearning to create a legacy not just for herself, but for all those who had pushed through struggle. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her next move. She realized the moment wasn't just about her defending herself. It was about rallying the community around a shared vision. You're right, Sarah responded, her voice rising with conviction. I'm not a savior or a hero, but I am someone who believes in the power of community. I'm willing to try. The crowd began to cheer softly. I need your help, not just followers. Let us talk about the memorial and what it means to us. If we come together, we can do this. Derek scoffed but said nothing, clearly unprepared for this turn of the conversation. A ripple of nodding heads and murmuring voices suggested that her passion was breaking through, igniting a fire in the hearts of many around her. Mia's eyes sparkled. Yeah, let us do it. We can all help. As more voices joined the chorus of support, Sarah felt a swell of hope. It wasn't going to be easy, and Derek's words were still biting at her. Yet, as she looked around at the people rallying beside her, she understood that together they could forge a real change, a renewed spirit in Maplewood. Then, just as the momentum began to build, there came a voice from the back. Hold on a second. Did you really think this would be that easy? Sarah's smile faltered, the question lingering ominously in the air. What new challenge awaited them? And would the community's spirit hold strong against whatever storm was brewing? The crowd parted slightly, revealing a tall figure moving forward. It was Mrs. Henderson, the town's oldest resident, her cane tapping rhythmically against the pavement. Her usually soft face was now drawn tight with concern. "What do you mean by that, Mrs. Henderson?" Sarah asked, her heart thudding in her chest. "We're trying to take a step forward, to make a difference." "Oh, my dear," Mrs. Henderson said, wrinkling her brow. "You see, it's not just about wanting to help. It's about knowing what lies beneath." She paused, taking a breath that seemed to weigh heavily upon her. "You can't simply cleanse the wounds of this community with pretty renovations. There's a history, a painful history of loss." Sarah felt the breath catch in her throat. Could Mrs. Henderson understand? Did everyone here even grasp how many layers of hurt they carried? "I know it won't be easy, but we need to start somewhere. We can talk, we can share stories, that's the problem." Derek interrupted again, stepping closer. "You don't see it. You're eager to dive in without knowing how deep the water really is. You might just drown." He threw a glance to the crowd, challenging their solidarity. "And when you do," he added, his voice low and mocking, "who do you think will be left to pick up the pieces?" A hush fell over the crowd, as if someone had dropped a heavy stone into a pond. Eyes darted between Sarah and Derek, weighing their words. Doubt crept in once more, twisting in her stomach. "No one's drowning," Mia shouted, attempting to rally the crowd. "We're all here, ready to support each other. We must embrace our stories." But even as she spoke, the uncertain murmurs spread like wildfire among the crowd. "Stories?" Derek chuckled again, a dark glint in his eyes. "What good are stories if they're just tales of sorrow? You're a weightlifter, Sarah. You carry burdens, but do you know how to carry others' pain?" The sunlight flickered weakly through the trees, casting an uneasy shadow over the gathering. Sarah felt the weight of the moment bearing down, threatening to crush the spirit she had been trying so hard to build. "Perhaps you can't lift what you don't understand." Mrs. Henderson's voice broke through the silence. "You have to feel it, know it, and then you may begin to heal." Her wise eyes held Sarah's, searching for something deeper. "I will not back down," Sarah replied, her voice grittier now. "We need to face it together. I want everyone to share, to be vulnerable. Let us bring our pain into the light." And just like that, Sarah's resolve began to solidify again, but doubt still gnawed at her heart. Would they really stand by her side when their truths unfolded like tender blooms? The people murmured among themselves, some with hesitant nods, others shaking heads in uncertainty. "What would you like to know?" Someone from the back called out. A flicker of hope sparked inside Sarah. "Let us talk. Let us tell our stories and embrace each other's pasts." But before she could finish, a sharp voice interjected. "You're so naive, Sarah. If this turns into a mess, it'll be your fault." The crowd fell silent again. Breaths caught, tension rising to an unbearable height. "Who said that?" she demanded, her heart racing as she scanned the sea of faces. Was someone ready to make this harder? Or could they pull together? The air crackled with anticipation, and just like that, reality loomed large. What was coming next, and how far would her fight take her? The answer felt as murky as the past she dared to confront. "Enough!" Mia erupted, her voice cutting through the air as she stepped forward. "Enough of this negativity. Sarah is right. We've spent too long locked in our separate silos, pretending nothing is wrong." Shifting on her feet, Sarah watched as Mia's determination seemed to breathe life back into the crowd. "We're all hurting. We all carry scars. But that's what connects us, our pain, our stories." The murmurs transformed into whispers, rippling through the crowd like a secret shared. Sarah seized the moment, pushing aside her fear. "Let us create a safe space. Rather than dwell in the shadows, let us shine a light on our experiences. Together, we can do this." Derek scoffed again, folding his arms. "You really think that will make a difference? A few cozy chats? You truly have faith that a couple of heartfelt stories will fix a broken community?" He surveyed his audience, hoping to sow discord. A gasp echoed through the crowd as someone stepped up, a tall man with shoulders slumped, eyes filled with pain. "I lost my son," he said, voice grave but steady. "He was just 15. We need to talk about how we lost him, about the things we never discuss." The collective intake of breath sent a shock wave through Sarah. The cracks in the facade were showing. "Thank you for sharing that," Sarah said softly, her heart aching for this man. "You're so brave to start us off." Another hand shot up from near the back, a trembling girl with wide eyes. "My brother, he never came home after the car accident last year. I never got to say goodbye." Tears glistened in her eyes. The crowd's composition shifted, faces filled with empathy and understanding rather than skepticism. Mia stepped beside the girl, resting a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone," she assured. "None of us truly are. We need to create a bridge through this pain." With each shared story, the crowd began to knit together. Voices rose and fell, creating a symphony of loss and love that resonated deeply. Mrs. Henderson looked on, her expression softer, her cane resting against her leg as she surveyed the uplifted faces of those willing to open up. It was a crackling moment of honesty, illuminating darkness that had lingered for far too long. In that moment of raw vulnerability, Sarah realized it wasn't just about revealing pain. It was also about cultivating connection. Slowly, she shared her own story about her father's struggles, her sister's departure from the town, how the love of her family had faded like ink on paper. Derek, still standing at the edge, mischief twisting his mouth, stared flabbergasted. He had underestimated the power of storytelling. As Sarah continued, her words draped hope over them like a warm blanket. This wasn't just a collection of sob stories, it was a tapestry of shared human experience, rich with life and potential healing. Yet, just as the atmosphere shifted towards unity, Derek snapped, "You still think this is going to help? You're going to stand there, share your sorrows, and expect magic? What's going to happen when it gets messy?" His voice rang out, attempting to slice through the growing camaraderie like a sharp knife. But the people remained, fortified by collective hope and a newfound strength. Sarah glanced at Mrs. Henderson, whose eyes glittered with a mix of pride and gentle warning. "Well, Derek, maybe magic doesn't happen right away. But don't you think it's worth trying?" Cornered by truth, Derek hesitated. The skepticism in his eyes softened just a notch. The crowd swayed quietly, anticipation crackling like static in the air as they waited. Unsure of what would happen next, would the conversations fray and unravel, or would they stitch together the community like a patchwork quilt? With eyes wide open, they braced for what lay ahead, ready to confront the reality that still lingered just beneath the surface. What would this revelation mean for them all? As emotions hung thick in the air, Sarah realized the journey was just beginning. The air was heavy, charged with unspoken fears and tentative hopes. Sarah looked around, her heart beating faster as she took in the faces around her. Each one was a canvas of stories waiting to be told. Words lodged deep in throats, but the warmth was palpable. No one seemed ready to back down, not after so many had revealed their raw truths. Mia took a deep breath and stepped forward again. "If we want change, we have to be brave enough to dig deeper. Together, let us face the messiness Derek is afraid of." Her voice soared, wrapping around the crowd like a comforting embrace. Derek shifted, his eyes darting between the crowd and the passionate speakers, caught in a web of his own cynicism. Yet something shifted inside him. Maybe it was the bravery he saw in others. Or perhaps it was the longing for connection he buried under sarcasm. The crowd began to whisper again, stories bubbling up like soda fizzing over. A woman, her head bowed low, slowly met the gaze of Derek. "I used to think I was alone in my pain," she began. "I lost my husband to addiction. I always hid it, thinking no one would understand." She swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing down on her shoulders. "But this is not just my burden to bear." Tears trickled down her cheeks, and an unexpected silence filled the air. It was like everyone could feel the raw honesty. Derek's brave face faltered. He was a few inches away from having to confront his own demons. The girl who had lost her brother added, "There's so much we don't see. People struggling around us every day. What if we could change that?" Her soft voice cut through the tension, like a gentle breeze in a stuffy room. The mutual recognition thickened, bonding them with a shared mission. One by one, voices began to rise, intertwining their stories, creating a vibrant tapestry of experiences woven through laughter and tears. They spoke of childhood dreams shattered, love lost, and the hope that flickered like a candle in a storm. Sarah felt a tide rising within her. It was a wave of shared understanding washing over each individual present. Derek's voice suddenly broke through. But what if we fail? What if we open these wounds and nothing gets better? His tone shifted, revealing a glimmer of fear. A man, his face lined with age and experience, stepped forward. True connection is worth the risk, Derek. We may fail sometimes, but we also have moments of joy and healing. We can turn pain into power together. The crowd murmured in agreement, their conviction strengthening those words. With that affirmation, Sarah felt the dam break. Let us honor our scars, she urged. They tell us we've lived, we've loved, we've lost. But they also tell us we can heal. A sense of urgency surged through her. She pulled Derek into her gaze. This is more than just sharing pain. It's recognizing the strength in vulnerability. It's about moving forward. We can own our narratives, find our voice together. Derek held his breath. For the first time, he saw the crowd not as individuals but as a living, breathing entity. He had always been the skeptic, the one pushing people away to keep himself safe. But this wasn't just about him anymore, it was about all of them. Then came a hesitant offering from Mrs. Henderson, her cane tapping softly against the ground. In my years, I've gathered a collection of stories from others who felt alone. She smiled kindly. Sometimes all it takes is someone listening. The crowd pulsated with energy, hope igniting their hearts anew. The cracks deepened in Derek's armor as light seeped through, filling him with reckoning. Mia lifted her gaze to the sky, as if seeking answers in the shifting clouds. Let us come together, then. Let us promise to create a bridge, a community rooted in understanding and empathy. The crowd erupted in quiet applause, the sound echoing like a heartbeat, slow but steady. But amidst the jubilation, Sarah noticed a figure moving toward the outskirts. A woman, her face shadowed by doubt, was slipping away. Whispers of concern cascaded through Sarah's mind. Wait, Sarah called after her, confusion and concern flooding her voice. Where are you going? The community held its breath, watching as uncertainty loomed yet again. What story was left untold? Would they have to face another wall of silence? Or was there still a chance for connection to triumph over fear? In that moment of hesitation, the future felt precisely on edge. Wait, Sarah's voice sliced through the thick air as the woman hesitated, her silhouette like a shadow against the lightning crowd. The murmur of anxious whispers spread through those nearby, hearts thumping in sync with Sarah's rising panic. I just need... The woman's voice faltered, thick with emotion. She turned slowly, raising a hand to wipe her damp cheeks, revealing deep-set eyes filled with a lifetime of pain. Sarah took slow steps toward her, closing the space. You're not alone here, Sarah said softly, her heart racing as she reached out. We all have our burdens. Please share yours. Derek watched, captivated and terrified. The skepticism that usually enveloped him began to melt away, replaced by an unfamiliar urge to comfort, to connect. The woman inhaled deeply, her breath shaking slightly. My name is Clara, she said. I lost my daughter 2 years ago. She fought so hard against her illness, and I thought I could be strong for her. But when she went, I felt like I'd shattered into pieces. The collective silence hung loosely, tension woven closely between the attendees like an invisible thread. Clara's vulnerability resonated, ripples of empathy spreading among the crowd. I can't seem to pick those pieces back up. Every day feels like a battle. So I thought it was better to leave, she continued, voice trembling. The woman glanced around, meeting the eyes of those who had shared their own stories of loss. But hearing all of you has made me question that. Maybe facing it together isn't so scary. Each word was wrapped in a cloak of shared understanding. Derek felt something stir in his chest, a flicker of hope overshadowing his cynicism. Clara. Mia stepped forward, her eyes radiating compassion. You showed incredible strength just by being here today. It's okay to feel broken. We can help you stand stronger one step at a time. Derek clenched his fists, battling his own instinct to retreat. Instead, he found himself taking a step closer, emboldened by the collective support surrounding them. Yeah, Clara. We're all battleships, some of us just need to dock for a moment. The metaphor surprised him, and he nearly chuckled at his own bravado. The crowd murmured approval. Laughter mingled with the earlier seriousness, a shift that painted smiles on many faces. Clara's lips curled slowly into a tentative smile, her vulnerability igniting strength among them. Would you allow us to walk with you in this journey? Sarah asked gently, hopeful. We all have scars. Let us wear them together. Tears glistened in Clara's eyes, a hint of disbelief spreading across her face. You really want to help me? Of course, Derek chimed in, anxiety fading as he felt their collective will pushing past doubts. We can't erase the pain, but we can lighten the burden. In that moment, the community transformed. What started as individual pain became the foundation for a shared journey. Suddenly, the outside world felt like a distant echo, perhaps even hidden behind the newfound connection that was getting sewn tighter around them. Clara nodded slowly, absorbing their words, the warmth wrapping around her heart. Okay, I think I'm ready to try, she whispered. As the crowd erupted in soft applause, a tender chorus of understanding, Sarah felt hope rise to new heights, a promise that every step forward together would give them the strength to rise above. But at the back, another figure loomed, brooding and distant. Derek's attention then turned, some part of him still uncertain about what he truly felt, or who else might be lurking in the shadows. What other stories were still hidden in the depths? Would everyone agree to join in, or would some hearts remain sealed off, lost in their battles? As uncertainty danced in the air, everyone remained suspended between hope and doubt, the potential for connection shining through the cracks. What other revelations awaited? The warmth of connection grew stronger within the crowd. Sarah felt it pulsing like a heartbeat, drawing everyone closer. Clara's tentative smile spread across her face, and with it, the atmosphere shifted from fear to an overwhelming sense of unity. As if reminding them of the journey they had embarked on together, her brave vulnerability lit a fire among the attendees. Let us build a bridge, Sarah proposed, glancing at the faces around her. A community where we can share these moments of honesty, where healing isn't just a word, but a daily promise. Mia's excited voice chimed in. Yes, we can hold monthly gatherings where we share our stories, create a safe space for everyone, no matter what they've been through. Nodding, Sarah felt hope thrive like a vibrant flower breaking through the concrete. Exactly. We'll take those stories, the pains and triumphs, and turn them into action. We'll make this a place where every voice counts. Derek stood on the edge of the crowd, still battling internal confusion. The ease with which everyone embraced their vulnerability bewildered him. Could he genuinely step out of his shell? He felt the weight of a decision closing in around him. Suddenly, an elder man named Mr. Ferguson from the back of the group stepped forward, leaning heavily on his cane. "I'd like to share my story," he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "I served in the military for many years. I returned home thinking I would find solace, but instead, I felt like I was stranded in a world that moved on without me." The crowd listened, captivated by his sincerity. "I lost friends, had to bury memories. Took years before I felt brave enough to talk about it all because I thought my pain didn't matter." The silence that followed was palpable. Each heartbeat was a reminder of their shared struggles, with Mr. Ferguson's words echoing through every person's experience. "I want to join your bridge, Sarah. I want to help others find their voice too, before it's too late." A ripple of applause broke through, igniting hope anew. Sarah felt her heart swell. Perhaps this was the moment they had been waiting for, the precise moment the community of Maplewood could heal. "Then we'll build this bridge together," she affirmed, smiling widely. "Mr. Ferguson, you could lead our veteran sessions. Show the younger generations how to embrace their stories, their struggles. We need those wisdom-filled voices." As he nodded, a spark ignited inside Derek, stirring an impulse deep within him. The noise of the crowd floated around him, yet a quiet longing began to surface. "I might not understand all of this," he called out, voice shaky but resolute. "But I want to help. We can create a structure, something tangible that reflects these stories." The crowd erupted in cheers, a hum of encouragement fueling him. Sarah turned to Derek, eyes wide with surprise. "Really? Yeah, let us collaborate." There was a fighting spirit in his voice, one that had been cloaked in cynicism too long. "We'll start a community art project, make a mural that tells our history. Let us honor those painful stories but paint them with hope." The nodding heads and enthusiastic murmurs that followed reaffirmed a collective promise. And for the first time, Sarah saw Derek not as an opponent, but an ally. "Wow, Derek, that's incredible. This is what community means, coming together," Sarah said, her spirit soaring higher. "Let us create something beautiful from this experience." As they brainstormed ideas, the crowd erupted in laughter and ideas, forming bonds that strong enough to weave a stunning tapestry of shared humanity. Sarah glanced over at Clara, who stood amidst it all, her heart swelling with joy, her daughter's hand holding her steady. Over the weeks that followed, the gatherings transformed into a powerful movement. People came together, sharing painful truths about losses, battles, and resilience. They shared laughter and tears, creativity and kindness, every story weaving a rich fabric of community support. Derek and Mr. Ferguson led the charge for the mural project, brimming with energy and purpose. Meanwhile, Sarah created programs centered around mental health awareness and support workshops, drawing skilled professionals from all walks of life to guide them. Mia took charge alongside her, proudly dedicating time to the children's art sessions, planting seeds of hope in the next generation. And within the heart of Maplewood, the Veterans Memorial reopened, refurbished and painted brilliantly to honor every life impacted by its legacy. Their vibrant stories enveloped within the warm embrace of the town, a reminder of what love can build through hard work, determination, and authentic connection. Sarah reflected on how much had changed. The whispers that once followed her now had transformed into roars of encouragement. And as she stood outside the memorial, kids running around, laughter echoing in the air, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This journey had ultimately been about more than lifting weights. It had been about lifting hearts, and finally, lifting hopes. Yet, just as she breathed in the essence of her community, destiny had more in store. The wind shifted, bringing a rustle of leaves and charged energy. A new challenge hinted at the horizon, waiting to be faced. But for now, Sarah took a moment to appreciate the transformation. This wasn't just a new beginning. It was the foundation for a legacy that would ripple through generations. Maplewood was alive again. As she smiled, she felt deep within, this was just the start. They were all ready to rise. If you're inspired by Sarah's fierce journey of transformation, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share the spirit with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful story. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and let others know this incredible journey matters. We want to hear from you. Comment below how this story touched your heart, how it inspired you to embrace your own journey. This is the moment to show your support. Join our community and ride this wave of inspiration.